What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it once again for part 2 of the two-part series that I like to title In Defense of the Toggle Escape. Alright, part 1 we basically talked about toggle escaping and basically the benefits of it. Those being that it helps to make lower weight, light poise builds viable. Now, based upon the comment section, I figured this would be an appropriate response. Now, a lot of the feedback that I got was basically, just to sum it up, listen, you guys think you're so MLG, the answer to prevent from being stun-locked is simply poise. Right? That's the answer to everything. Whereas in part 1 of the video series, I basically said that for everyone to use poise, for the most part, or at least stack poise, would greatly reduce variety in the game. And I think the fact that we have lighter builds who are able to be viable by way of toggle escape and other means by which they can prevent stun lock, it kind of makes everything pretty much viable to the extent that you have at least reasonable practice with a lot of these techniques. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, you could be viable with a lower weight, low poise build. You can also be viable with a medium roll build. You can be viable with a fast, obviously a darkwood grain ring builds. So the fact that you can prevent from being stun locked into affinity makes a lot of these builds viable. So the argument was based upon the comment section. Well, like I said before, dude, if you have a problem with being... Well, first off, what a lot of people said was, well, if you get stunned to death, it's your fault. If you get hit, that's your fault. You're just not MLG enough. So, if you want to prevent from being stun locked, just go ahead and use poise. Alright, well, guess what there, homeboys? Guess what there, little homies? The brigade has got an answer for you. Because in this particular showcase, I'm rocking 82 poise, noobs. Right? So for all of you guys that say poise is just the answer to everything, I'm going to show you what PvP for the most part would look like if everyone did nothing but stack poise. Now, why did I throw in the sarcastic comment by saying noobs? Well, the reason why I say that is because, and actually that's not even an insult. I think when most people start the game, because they're new to the game, they're not really aware of the game's mechanics, and because they're not even really familiar with what the game is all about and how to, especially, first off, we're not going to even talk PvP. Let's just start off with PvE first. And then, once you get relatively comfortable with PvE, most people go ahead and start to experiment with PvP, which basically opens up a brand new world. So I can understand why a lot of new people in the beginning would start off by stacking poise. Heck, I started off stacking poise. For a lot of you guys that are some of my original subscribers, and for some of you who are not, but maybe you are familiar with some of my tellings of my early days in Dark Souls, I was the guy rocking the full black iron, Leo ring, lightning rapier. Right now, granted, I wasn't one of those heavy build ninja flippers. I was always of the opinion that the darkwood grain ring should be used only for light to medium builds. So granted, now I was medium rolling, but at the end of the day, I was one of those guys. I had some of the best armor sets, which was the black iron set. I stacked 79 poise, which comes with the black iron set, and I used a hornet ring. So, since the answer to everything, based upon the comment section of part 1, is to stack poise, this is what it would look like. And as a matter of fact, I made the assertion in part 1 that basically stacking a lot of poise really makes you sloppy, in my personal opinion. And I don't know if you guys have been watching these matchups since, the beginning, really been paying attention, but I want you guys to just notice the difference between the gameplay in this video and my gameplay in part 1. You guys will notice I am playing extremely sloppily. But guess what? You see, since the answer to everything is to stack poise, the fact that I can stack a lot of poise, in other words, where is my incentive to try to play better? One of the statements that I made in part 1 is not only does stacking too much poise promote sloppy gameplay, but I'm also under the belief that stacking too much poise instills false confidence. And here's what I mean. Let's just say I was a new player and I'm rocking the current build that you guys see. I have 82 poise, I'm fast rolling, and I'm rocking the good for nothing Chaos Blade. Actually, that's a little sarcasm there. Everyone knows that it is good for something. Right? But anyway, and I'm rocking the Chaos Blade. So let's just say I'm new to the game. And as you guys can see, I'm wrecking fools. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, it would give me false confidence in the sense that I'm actually getting a lot of wins. Now, am I really doing anything fancy? No. Am I timing my attacks? I mean, not really. Am I in any way, shape, form, or fashion being strategic? Not really, because if you notice, the only thing that I'm doing is just poison through everybody's attacks and spamming the R1 button. That's all I'm doing. If you guys pay close attention to what I'm doing, I'm poisoning through claymores, I'm poisoning through halberds, I'm poisoning through everything. But the fact that I am winning a lot is giving me false confidence, because in other words, I can easily, after playing this game, let's just say, I'm the same noob. You guys notice that? I'm poisoned through ultra great swords. So imagine this. I'm a new player, same build. I'm rocking a Chaos Blade. And, I get so full of myself because of the amount of wins I get. And let's just say I frequent the Berg. And because this is basically my playstyle and I tend to win a lot, I say, you know what? You guys notice those toggles on those forces and those Wrath of Gods? You see, that's another reason why those toggles are good in my personal opinion. Because, there's a lot of guys that will try to force or Wrath of God into BS. But guess what? When you're quick on the draw with those toggle escapes, you pretty much nullify those attempts. Right? So when those guys think they're basically going to troll you to death by walking to BS, walking to BS, walking to BS, you know what you do? You toggle escape out of that walk and you BS them back. Alright, but anyway, back to the point. So let's just say I say to myself, yo son, I be murking them fools. You know what I'm saying? Them cats can't do anything to me. I'm like MLG, son. You know what I'm saying? you know how some of you guys talk. Anyway, so let's just say I have that impression. I go into a stream and I'm talking all this mess. The sense of false confidence comes in the sense that there's no incentive for me to improve if all I'm doing is stacking poise. And this is another reason why I'm making an argument against stacking so much poise. Which is why at least lower weight and lower poise builds need to be viable. There needs to be some way for lower poise builds to be viable, because if everyone stacks a lot of poise, where is the incentive to try to get better? Right? Because in other words, if there's no means to prevent stun locking, to the extent that stun locking will exist, this is basically what you're going to see. You're not going to see a lot of variety. Right? Because, like I said before, no one wants to get stun locked until infinity. So you won't see too much variety. As a matter of fact, the only variety that you'll see for the most part is variations in armor sets. But who really cares about variations in armor sets as long as they all add up, for the most part, to stacking a crap load of poise? So in other words, you may have a build that looks like mine, but it functions nearly the same as a guy that's rocking full Havels, in the sense that I can just poise through every single attack. Now, the only difference between me and the full Havel user is the fact that he rolls a little slower. But for the most part, my build functions the same. And this is the reason why I think it's a good idea to have a means by which lower poise and lower weighted builds are viable. That's why I support toggle escaping. Because in other words, you're not limiting the PvP experience to everyone who's rocking high poise. As a matter of fact, since we're kind of talking about limiting variety, for a lot of you guys that have known me since day one of the things that my channel is probably known for the most is the fact that I have always tried to stimulate player creativity. When I first started uploading, for the most part, all you saw was people rocking Darkwood Grain Rings and Katanas. Right? Darkwood Grain Rings, Ninja Flipping, and Pyros. And that was during like 1.05 and earlier. And I played against those builds so much that when I created my channel, I said, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to try to promote and stimulate more variety and more experimentation with the various weapons in the inventory. Because it's just absolutely boring for every single build to be ninja flipping with pyro and katanas. And through my efforts and through the efforts of a lot of other promoters in the community, now we see a lot more variation. Well, guess what, they're champions? If you guys support just everyone stacking poise and not creating a means by which lower weighted and lower poise builds could be viable, well, guess what? We will go right back to the same old situation where, for the most part, everyone's doing the same thing. Because, like I said before, to the extent that they continue with the ability to stun lock, if they remove a method for you to escape stun lock, this is all you're going to see. Everyone stacking a lot of poise. And like I said before, where would the incentive be for any of us to get better if all you could do is poise through attacks? There's no incentive. In other words, what would I really have to work on? Right? Because think about it. I'm winning. Right? And for all of you guys that are so concerned with winning and nothing else, as long as I'm winning, that's all that matters. The fact that I'm winning. That is where the false confidence come in. Because am I winning? Yes. But am I really doing anything? Am I practicing on my timing and my spacing? I'm not really practicing anything. I mean, do I have to focus on pairing? I don't have to focus on anything. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to BS really. If you guys have been watching this video from start to finish, you guys will see to yourself, I haven't even been BSing. You want to know why? Because in other words, who needs BS? Who needs pairing when you got poise, son? You understand? Who needs any of those things when you're rocking a crap load of poise? You don't need anything. Even against, the MLG Darkwood Grain Ring, user that we have right here. Now, okay, see, here we go. MLG right here. If you notice, he's just flipping everywhere. Come on, dude. Let's see some of that MLG PvP. Here we go. Got the ninja flips. Oh, and we got the, you've got to have that great combustion. You're not MLG unless you're ninja flipping with great combustion. Now, granted, there's tons of other pyros, but you're not MLG. You're not pro unless you spam great combustion and you're just flipping all around the screen. But guess what, son? Who cares about your Darkwood Grain Ring? Who cares about your pyro when I've got poise? I've got poise, son. See, and that also goes into my support for toggling as well. Because if you guys would notice, I didn't even hit him before that stun lock until infinity. That's what you people want who support getting rid of stun lock. You want that to the extent that you get hit, you just get hit until you die. That's what you people want. As a matter of fact, this right here would be the face of PvP. Either A, you're MLG, just flipping all over the place until you finally get hit, and then once you get hit, you're staggered until you die. Or B, right, you're just going to be like me. Me in my own little world where I'm thinking I'm doing all kind of moves, but basically there's no motivation, nor is there incentive for me to practice on anything. Because as long as I can tank hits from virtually any weapon, why would I have to work on anything? There's no incentive. So don't get me wrong. Understand you guys' argument with regard to, basically you guys follow the logic of if it is a glitch, then therefore it shouldn't exist. I follow your logic and I understand it. My argument on the other hand is there has to be a means by which lower poised and lower weight builds can be viable. So seeing that they have removed toggle escaping, it must be replaced with something else that will prevent from being stunlocked into infinity. That's my only concern, right? This is not about who's good, who's bad, and judging, well, I'll toggle, therefore I'm better. That's not the subject, because, when I read the comments in the comment section, a lot of you guys were so off track with where I wanted the dialogue to go, but I can't spam up my own comment section. So just remember, when you guys are making comments this time, the conversation is not about so-called who is better and who's not. The conversation is all about viability. And my argument is, once again, number one, we have to have a way to make lower poise builds viable. Because if not, you're not really going to see a lot of variety other than cosmetic differences. Cosmetic being, you may see different armor sets, but as long as they as long as they work out the same, meaning everyone's just stacking a whole bunch of poise, they're really no different. They all function the same. Number two, the fact that we can make lower poised builds viable adds variety, right? Because who just want to go through the game fight nothing but medium rollers or nothing but tank builds? That would suck in my personal opinion. And that's why I like Dark Souls the way it currently is, because pretty much anything can be viable. Fast rolling can be viable. A tank build with a whole bunch of poise can be viable, just like a lower poised light-weighted build can be viable, because they have all these things, including the toggle escape glitch in place. Right? Viability is what this dialogue is all about. Viability. So, once again, I hope I clarified some things, and I hope by watching, what potentially Dark Souls 2 could look like if they do not replace Stunlocking. If they do not replace toggle escaping with some other means to prevent from being stunlocked into infinity. This is basically what it'll look like. Either everyone is going to get stunlocked until infinity, or everybody's going to toggle, everybody's going to basically just stack a lot of poise. So, like I said before, granted, it is too early. None of us have played the closed beta, nor has the game been finalized. This is just basically a dialogue to promote thought. That's all, and that's what I aim to do in all my commentary. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hey, until next time, Martyrs Brigade is